All right, so we're here, episode 0, test run, pilot episode of the. We don't have a name for it yet, but the technically Peace of Mind, Derek, Roozy Derek, Temple of Doom podcast. We're gonna
Piece of Doom.
Piece of Doom. We've been wanting to start this for a long time. Derek had his Wrecking Hour podcast that he had started a few years ago. Was that before or during COVID? During. And then we ended up getting the studio together, and was something we wanted to launch here. And now with the help of our friend Evan, that's that Fuego, we're set up. And then of course with the help of our lovely first guest here is Sibelle Yüksek.
Yes.
We just hosted a show with her. It was our first time hosting her. I've met Sibelle a couple of years ago. Been getting to know each other. Her work is phenomenal. So we thought it would be great to try to host a show with her, and she was super down. And it literally just happened on Saturday, September 21st. Today is now Monday, the 23rd, right?
23rd.
And then tomorrow we start a 3-day class with her here, hosted here at the Temple of Doom Studios. She's been doing classes all around the world, like literally in Europe, all over. And I think she can explain that a little better, just giving you a little intro to everything here.
Yeah.
So
Thank you so much for hosting me. It's been really fun and the experience that I've needed all year.
thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe you could tell us a little about your whole year, because you've even like moved studio states. Yeah, if you want to even just maybe get into that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I used to live in LA for 10 years. I moved in 2013, and then I moved out literally a year ago this month. And I went to Austin as a temporary setup, and I was working out of Micah Evans' studio. And it was a low commitment situation where I just like kind of crashed at his empty apartment, and then I paid him when I was there, and then I was traveling through Europe and doing teaching gigs and traveling most of the time. So I think I only spent maybe 2 months of the whole year in Austin if you broke it all up. And I did a bunch of events too. So I went to Spanibus, and I did a little show with the Terpy BCN, which is a cannabis club there. And then I went to Bangkok before that, actually, and I participated in an event over there. It was like a hash competition, and I blew glass for fun entertainment and made some connections there. And yeah.
It's the wife's watch. Hello.
And that was the full moon sesh for anyone curious. And then, I did a class at Corning in January. I did the Las Vegas Expo. And then, I went to Turkey to teach a class for 1 week.
I didn't know that.
In Istanbul.
This year?
Uh-huh.
Oh, shit.
It was in May. And the way, actually, my longest length of travel at once was 4 months. So I actually went to Evergreen to do some collaborations, and then I went back to Austin and flew out from there in late April. And then I went to Prague and hung out with my friends there, went to Turkey and taught the class.
What's the scene in Turkey like?
It's like, it's not very present. The class that I taught was mostly focusing on artistic flame working, and I didn't make any pipes there. So, this scene is very underground, if anything, but I didn't really see much going on.
But even like,
glass.
obviously not in the like hash scene, but
Mm-hmm.
like even like the glass blowing, the non-functional stuff.
Yeah, I mean, Turkey has a history of glass. Like they do a lot of the Nazar, which are the evil eye.
Yep.
And but it's all soft glass, and flame working is still really, really new there. But they do a lot of like soft glass, like Moretti classes for bead making and things like that. So
What studio did you do?
it's called Jam Oja. It means the glass furnace.
Very
And
cool.
it's like a school similar to something like Pilchuck or Penland. And so they have a little campus out in the countryside, like outside of Istanbul. And there's a little river and a boat, and the students stay on campus in a little room area. Or, everyone has their own room. And there's a pool, and the indoor has like a water feature and like a second floor where you can like play pool, but it's all open. And so you like people be sitting by the fire and like people playing pool at the end of the
that's
night,
awesome.
drinking beers. And
That's
like
very cool.
they feed you there. So there's like a little cafeteria, and you can go out and grab some things, but there's not much around that area. So
Very
you
cool.
got to come prepared.
First time teaching in Turkey?
Mm-hmm.
Very cool.
Yeah, and I'd visited the glass furnace before because I have family there, so I would go visit. And then when I found out about the school, my mom, got the family to like take me up to the school, and I got to meet them. And I think that was like our first introduction.
That's awesome.
And that was a long time ago, I think like 2016 or something.
Very cool.
And then after Turkey was the Glass Art Society conference in Berlin. So I had a show in the juried show there. So I went there and hung out. After that, went to Barcelona to teach another class at the BCN Glass Studio run by Augustina Ross.
Mm-hmm.
And that was, she's just starting to host classes at the studio, so they'll be more available this coming summer. And I think we were like just testing it out to see how it went, and it was amazing.
That's awesome.
Full class of girls. We had one guy.
Wow.
And he was awesome. But it's definitely like a female forward studio, and it's really empowering. And they're all doing really fun artistic things.
That's great.
And so after Barcelona, I went to Pittsburgh Glass Center and taught a 1-week class. And so I hopped right over to Pittsburgh, did the 1 week, and then I flew straight back to Prague after that. And I was doing another Full Moon Sesh event where I did the centerpiece for the show, and then did some glassblowing demos with this guy Hashba. He's the flame worker of Prague. Like, I don't think there's anyone else besides him. And he's not even Czech. He's actually Italian and French. Yeah,
that's hilarious.
He's wonderful. So I worked out of his studio, and I stayed there for 4 weeks and kind of hung out. And then I came back and taught another class at Corning for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And after that, I went down to Hudson to collaborate with Two Stroke.
Yep.
And then went down to New York City and checked out some things there with Kaido from Glass to Grass.
Mm-hmm.
And then hung out with my girl Cha Cha Chains. And then I went to Virginia to get my dog from my mom. And then I flew back to Austin. And then when I got back to Austin, things shifted at the studio, and I needed to move out.
That's
so,
right.
This was literally like a month and a half before our show here. And I was like, oh my God, I have to work on these pieces for the show. So I packed all my things. I was by myself. It was super stressful. Put all my studio in storage, packed my car up. I called the boys in Evergreen, and I was like, I know somebody has a studio that I can work from just to get this work out of the way.
Mm-hmm.
And then Com said that I could rent out his space. So I drove straight up there and then just buckled down and then flew straight out here.
That's awesome. Well, it worked out because all the collaborative work you did with Tuba, Com, Matt Robertson.
Yeah.
Yeah, Cha Cha Chains, but all the Evergreen crew up there, they came out so fantastic.
It's so much fun. And I feel like that community is a great place to be because I feel very focused, and I want to be inspired by artists that are really killing it. So
Totally. I still haven't made it up there myself. So.
And now you can come up.
I know. They've all sent the invite out. So.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And it's all, for those that don't know, the Evergreen Studio is Avatar, Yushin, Elbow, WJC.
Murdoch.
Murdoch's in there too?
Yeah, I see.
Oh, wow.
Nate.
And Nate Myers. But then Tuba has a separate studio.
And then Matt's above him.
And
then
Com
there's
is down
Punty.
the street, or is
Com has his home studio.
has a home studio. Oh, and Punty as well as with the Everdream.
And then There's also Taffy's out there, and Ishtar's in that studio as well.
Really?
Yeah, yeah.
I didn't know she moved there
Yeah.
too. We did a class with Taffy here
Mm-hmm.
in, that was last year, I guess.
Yeah, I guess so.
Oh man.
Yeah, it's
time
crazy.
flies.
It does. And Joe P.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And they're all kind of in that same like area, and it's really cool because you can just go up to the spots and be like, "Hello, hey, what's up?" You know, you might see someone coming down the hill.
Totally.
Cool.
And then what do you got next after the class? We got PuffCon. Actually, you'll be demoing there. PuffCon, thanks to, once again, DREC and the Puffco company running their third year of doing PuffCon, which mixes live music. They got Action Bronson, a couple other hip-hop artists, and then there's also the glass blowing side where there's people vending, and then there's live demos. Our manager, friend Megan, she'll be demoing. Slob, Swears, Swears might not be demoing, but few. Oh, he is. Swears is demoing. Few other, Temple of Doom cats, but it'll be my first time attending. We've had a booth there where we've sent employees and stuff, but D-Rex in charge of the whole glass-blowing village, something he's very familiar with from the Chalice days. He sets up all the torches, runs all the lines, makes sure all the kilns are there, and then also collaborates with and works with all the artists, making sure they know how to get there and get their passes all set up, get their booths, their tables, everything set up. It's all for free, so we can't thank the Puffco company enough for setting it up. Kevin at Puffco works with Derek, who works with the artists, so just a really cool thing, and people fly out for it, so the exposure is just great for all the artists that attend there and get to come and show all their glass or merch or whatever it is, really. And it's kind of just really strong for the whole scene and lifestyle that we're all trying to live. And we're very blessed to be able to do something like that in Los Angeles, where you get to just come and smoke weed and hash freely in the public and no one's fucking with you, where there's people just getting straight thrown in jail for stuff like that in other states, which is crazy.
Yeah.
But so Sibelle will be demoing there as well. And then after that, what are you going to be doing?
After that, I'm going to Berlin.
Oh, that's right. Yep.
And teaching a class. We have a few things in between, but teaching a one-day demo class in conjunction with the European Flame Off. And so I'll do that. And then I'm also judging at the European Flame Off. So I'm really excited about that.
First time judging?
Yes.
Sweet. Very cool.
And then I'll fly back after that and go back to Virginia, pick up my dog again from my mom, and then back to Evergreen.
Back to Evergreen.
And then I think during the winter months, I'm just going to buckle down and do some deep work.
For sure.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's cool.
It's exciting because, not having a real home all year has given me so much flexibility, and I've been able to kind of find myself through meeting other people and experiencing other cultures and, mixing with folks that I wouldn't ever have mixed with otherwise. So that non-commitment has been very freeing, but now I kind of want to ground down again and take everything that I've absorbed over the year and apply it to my work.
For sure.
Yeah.
I tend to have noticed most of the artists that hit the road like how you do and get as much places as they can, especially in other glassblower studios, and collaborate and do all that, tend to be the ones that really have been getting their name out more. And it's been like that since I could remember. One person I just remember who really did that was Bertoni. And he just packed up his stuff and threw it in his Jeep and literally went to all the states and worked with everyone. And then he was like, I think I like Denver the best. Yeah. And then ended up there.
That's so cool.
Yeah. And so I've just kind of noticed that with you, especially the last couple of years, moving out of LA, and just getting to know you more and your style. And now hearing how many classes you actually did teach this year and all the places you've been. And yeah, it's super exciting.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's fun too, because I feel like I've also been sampling places, where do I want to live? And Barcelona and Prague were really high up there.
That's super
cool. They still are. I mean, if someone was like, do you want to move to Barcelona tomorrow? I'd probably say yes.
Was Thailand on your list
Yes.
this year? You did, right?
Yeah, Thailand was awesome too.
That whole scene's blowing up. Actually, hash
Mm-hmm.
weed wise and glass wise. Elbows out there now.
Mm-hmm.
Andy Roth just moved out there. Slinger spent a lot of time out there.
Mm-hmm.
Pixel Glass. I don't know how to say his Thai, like his other Instagram. It's like say hi glass or something like
I
that.
don't know if I met him.
Um,
I probably did though.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I had been out to Thailand once before just for fun, but then this time coming around with a purpose felt really fulfilling because it's such a wonderful place to hang out, and it's just like there's this like love in the air. I don't know what it is about Thailand, but there's the people there are so wonderful and welcoming and warm, and then like it's just like chill vibes.
That's awesome.
And the people who go out there for glass are all like really stoked about it. So yeah, it's already like a very quickly blooming community. Yeah.
Yeah. Anything else?
Oh.
You could touch on like how you found glass blowing.
Found it?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So if I take you way back, my first love was illustration and reading Japanese comic books, manga, and like watching anime. So I went to art school at VCU, Virginia Commonwealth University, and my first degree was pursuing illustration. But while I was in that degree, they had us taking classes in other departments just to be well-rounded. And one summer I saw an Intro to Glass Casting 101. And at the time, my boyfriend was friends with the teacher, and he was like, oh, it's Sayaka Suzuki. She's like so cool, like take her class. And I was like, okay, glass, whatever. And so once I got into that class and started realizing how unique the material was and all of its properties, I just became hypnotized, or, you know, how do you say, like seduced.
Totally.
And I ended up making it my minor, but then they told me, oh, you're done with your minor, no more glass. And I was like, what do you mean no more glass? Make it my major. And so I took on 2 degrees at that point because I just couldn't stop, you know, learning about glass. And I was mostly focused on casting. So that's like when you make a sculpture out of wax or clay, and then you make a mold of that, and you remove that inner material, turn the mold upside down, put cold glass in it, put it in the kiln, let the glass melt all the way into the mold, take it out, break the mold off the glass, and then you have this glass sculpture that you initially sculpted in wax or clay.
Very interesting.
It's a really fun process, but it's very expensive. And so I had to take flame working classes and hot shop classes in order to finish the degree. So my first flame working teacher was Emilio Santini, and it was his last semester there, and he was just kind of over it. So it was more like a laid back class. And then who came in after was Christopher McElroy, 2-stroke.
Yep.
And I took 2 semesters of flame working with him, and he made it incredibly difficult, but
he was teaching at the university?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm. Professor.
How long has he been teaching there?
He was only there for a short period.
Oh, okay.
Because he also, like, right towards the end of his teaching, he started 2-stroke as the pipe maker, and then just like blew up from there. And yeah, so the lessons I learned from him were very valuable. And when I left school, I ended up getting my uncle's welding torch and just like flame working little jewelry in a studio after. And I kind of left the dream of casting behind because of the affordability of flame working. Mm-hmm. So I went on to take other classes after school at Penland and Corning and eventually Pilchuck. But yeah, and then I moved to LA after school.
And you got a degree in glass blowing?
Mm-hmm. It was like craft material studies with a focus in glass.
Oh, very cool.
And then the communication arts, which is illustration.
Awesome.
So then I moved to LA because my brother lived there, and I didn't know any glass blowers except Mike Shelbo down in San Diego. So he was the first person I visited.
That makes sense.
And he told me about Pacific Art Glass, the glass distribution warehouse in
Long Beach.
No, it's in
Gardena.
Gardena,
Right,
yeah, Gardena. And that was the place where I met Yuri, who runs Neptune Glassworks. So he was buying all these cases of shot, and then I was like, wow, what do you do? Here's my card. I was like, I'm an artist. And so then he saw my work and then decided to hire me as his glassblower for his company. And it was a very small crew. It was just him, one other guy, and then me. And then eventually we grew to a group of 5 or 6 at some time. And I was his glassblower. So like everything that came out of Neptune, I made on the torch. So it'd be like shades for chandeliers, drinkware. Like I do blow mold cups, freestyle cups. But it was really fun and artistic, like because it was all designed by him and it was a small company. Like we did everything in house. We were like UL certified and everything. And so for 5 years, I did the production glass blowing, 7:30 to 4:30 every day, just like thousands of cups, thousands of shades. And I feel like that's really where I got my chops and like understood the material, which I think is really important to tell people who are interested in blowing glass, because I pulled so many points that I could do it in my sleep now.
Yep.
And learned the hard way sometimes. You know, you get hurt and then, you know, you have to decide, oh, am I built for this or not? And if you can, then like you can keep going, but you have to like earn your way through.
Yeah, it's not even about just even making 100 of something, it's making thousands of something. Yeah.
I mean, I've made 500 cup runs before.
Yeah. That's what started getting me to start paying attention more, was you were posting just these really like really cool videos of you just stacking like hundreds of cups, and then like posting deadlines and stuff too. And it was like, I just know I've been there, you know, and seen it and stuff. What brought you to California though?
Oh, my brother, he so we're from Virginia, and my brother moved to Long Beach actually. It was like 2 years before I decided to. And when I wanted to move out of Richmond, I actually wanted to go to New York City. That was my dream, because I envisioned myself living in a, you know, urban space, like a loft or whatever. And then I went to visit Errol, and I actually went to Austin because I kind of thought about moving there too, way back in the day. And but I decided to stay where my brother was to be close with family. And my mom was like, please be with him. And that was pretty much the catalyst. And then 5 years later, you know, the warehouse, like, I guess I could talk about the way the warehouse kind of fell apart. Yeah. Which is crazy because within like a 2 week period, disaster just hit. And it started with the warehouse getting robbed. And the warehouse was really special because we had a few different artists in there, designers, like people were building, you know, custom furniture and designs for architecture. And then we had Nick Knudsen, who came to the studio. He was painting, and he had a studio. We had stained glass, ceramic, like it was a bunch of us. Yeah, like a shared space, right? Yeah. And somebody opened the gate in the middle of the night. Everyone flocked in from the streets because we were really close to Skid Row, and just like madhouse, people just stealing everything. They even used the forklift to take bigger equipment like the cold saw, like drill press, and like, you know, 3D printers, computers, like all the art, brass, like raw materials, everything except the torches for glass blowing, the kilns, and the glass blowing tools and glass. So pretty much all of that stayed intact, which is hilarious because we're like, oh, we have like 2 Delta Elites and like a bunch of hand torches and a lathe, you know? And so, and then shortly after that, it got robbed like 3 more times after that. One guy came in through the ceiling, sort of like Mission Impossible. Crazy. And we came in the next day, and there was like this bloody machete on the floor and the rope like still. It was wild. And then, crazy. I know. And then right after that, there was a butane explosion a few doors down in a different building. That was on the news. Like, that was a big deal. And it was crazy because right before the warehouse was robbed, I decided to get my own little studio right at the end of the block in like a separate space. So none of my stuff got stolen. And then when the explosion happened, like it still actually broke the window in my studio, crazy. Like right above my door. But we had a friend, her business was called Whorehouse, and she Yeah, but she was like a welder, and she made these amazing beds and stuff. And her studio, like the brick wall, like kind of caved in a little bit. It was bad, and all the windows. So that happened, and then COVID hit, and then pandemic style, like everything shut down. And then I was just in my studio alone, and I was like, "Where is everybody?"
Shit.
And then I was doing things for Neptune from my studio because I was like the only one kind of functioning, and also naturally everyone was hitting me up for smoking goods because everyone's at home smoking. And so then my business kind of took off from there just by necessity. So 2020 was kind of my launching point and like getting into the pipe industry fully that was it.
Very cool.
And then I decided that studio wasn't safe anymore because people were like flocking the streets. So my ex and I, we got a loft in Little Tokyo area, and it was perfect because it was a old Westinghouse building, all industrial with cement floors and tall ceilings. And they knew that I was blowing glass in there, so it was really cool. Like, we had a freight elevator. I would get my oxygen delivered.
That's dope.
Security. We had like a pool and a hot tub and private parking, and like we got it for COVID price. So we were paying like nothing for this 1,500 square foot space. So I was working in my home studio throughout that time until I moved out of LA. So it was actually kind of like a blessing in disguise.
Totally. That's awesome. That's great.
Crazy.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks again for coming out and all your hard work, getting ready for the show.
Thanks.
Doing the test run on this, episode 0. And just keep following her on Instagram. It's at Sibelle Yüksek.
Or
right?
Sibelle.
Or
Sibelley.
Yep. And
That's it.
do you have a website or anything?
Sibelle.com.
Perfect.
And if you want to email me, it's Sibelle@Sibelle.
Perfect.
Sibelle.
We will have her back. We've been talking about planning some stuff around PuffCon since it's turning into like a bigger thing, and trying to have maybe like, Ryan Fitt, all these other dope artists that have been coming into town for PuffCon. Coil's flying in, Com's flying in. So many people are coming to town to try to maybe host some people here and do like a nice little like the PuffCon, crew, where everyone gets together here and starts building like work. We do a thing called the Temple Takeover. It started with Salt to kind of come in and taking over the temple with a few other artists. And so the vibe gets really cool in here when there's like 8-10 people kind of just all working and hanging out at the same time and just having fun and grilling and playing music. So
it's so cool.
Yeah.
I love about our community. It's great because like any state you go to, there's going to be somebody who can like host you or who you can like cross pollinate with.
Totally.
And it's so cool to have everyone come to your space. It's like every spot kind of has like I feel like it's like migration patterns of glass blowers,
The hub. Right?
Yeah. And you're like,
cool.
so and so came through. It's like, oh, we all came at the same time.
Totally.
Yeah.
But yeah, well, thank you again.
Thank you so much. I
Love
really
you,
appreciate it.
and I can't wait to have you back.
Thank you. Me too. Woohoo.